So, guys, I finally saw Disclosure Day 10/10 as I'm recording this right now. It was crazy. It was insane, guys. Like, that was what all my channels are about. Like, plus, I feel like my own personal experience. And also it's the missing story of Yeshua's counterpart of Mary Magdalene, because the woman in the movie, there's gonna be a bunch of spoiler alerts if you haven't seen it. The woman in the movie, which is Emily Blunt, and the guy I had never seen before, I didn't recognize him. But it was the story of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, because the girl in that movie gets the psychic abilities. And then there's a man who also has psychic abilities, and there's only the two of them that have those abilities. And so it was really interesting. It was a lot. It was like basically all my channels. So I'm like, well, this was like, again, like it's so synchronistic for me. It's like literally exactly what I talk about. I'm like, this shit is so crazy. And of course it's Steven Spielberg. So, and I just recently watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind by him. I'd never seen that movie, and there was a lot in that movie that is very accurate. I mean, the ships alone were exactly what the ships are going to look like. And, in that movie, it was the Greys. Again, in this movie, it's the Greys as well, but it's going to be humans coming down. We probably won't be interacting with too much interdimensional species like that, like the Greys and things like that. And that's the only thing that was like, kind of distorted in this movie. Now, there probably are some remnants of those types of aliens, and then also maybe some are alive here on this planet like they portrayed in the movie. But for our disclosure, it's gonna be human beings. So we might see some of those types of aliens, but and that's what they keep telling me. They did this kind of strategically, and they did it as negative as possible. They've been showing me other movies, like I watched Prometheus the other day, and I watched Alien Covenant, and there was a whole thing with that. And, it was pretty negative and scary, that kind of stuff. They're like, we made it really, really scary on purpose. So, like, when we come down, then it won't be scary. And that's, like, how they, again, produce miracles for our nervous systems. So this was just, like, so exciting. Like, this was the most exciting thing, that I've seen. It was my channel's lined up with it exactly. They talk about how they had alien footage. That was the disclosure, was that they had footage of aliens for 79 years. And I talk about how it's 75 to 100 years they've been working on this timeline situation. They've been seeding our subconscious with the idea of aliens to get our brains and our nervous systems ready for open contact, which has been since Roswell. So it literally lined up with everything that I talk about. So I'm like, this is like so insane and so crazy, but it's so beautiful that, the synchronicities that happen in my life these days. And this was just another one that was like literally incredible. And of course there were so many synchronicities for me with Emily Blunt's character, and like how she kind of like started to go crazy. That's like literally how I felt, with my channels and things like that. And then the cardinal drew back to like, that's been a huge sign for me for my Nana. And like, she's one of my guardian angels that have really helped me along this journey. And then the fact that they revealed what I talk about, which is that, Jesus was more than one person also. That's the other thing that, kind of... So, Emily Blunt's character is really just like, like public relations Jesus. And like, and then Joe Dispenza, that's like what I am. I'm very much public relations Jesus, because obviously that's the stuff I talk about. Joe Dispenza is like body healing Jesus. There's like a bunch of different Jesuses down here. So that's the other cool thing about moving forward with this too, is that there's gonna be so many more Jesuses that are gonna come forward. I've already pretty much met one here. Her name is, sorry, I cannot pronounce it. Camila. I don't know how you pronounce it. But anyway, she is deconstructing Mormonism. So she's like deconstructing Mormon Jesus. She's like totally got divine gifts, and she's like on the right path, and she's like, again, she grew up in that, and that like that Mormonism is going to have to be deconstructed. Christianity is going to have to be so I'm deconstruction Christianity Jesus, right? And then I don't really know how it's going to go for other religions in the world. I don't, there probably is like a deconstructing Judaism, you know, Jesus. And then there's probably a deconstructing, you know, different types of religions in the world. Now, I will say Buddhism, kind of more Asian religions are more aligned to what our belief should actually be. So they don't have as much deconstruction to do, but everybody has like deconstruction to do from society. So that's the only thing that this movie did not go into, is the actual depths of what this is. Because Disclosure, like the exposure of aliens existing and our government being in contact with them is like the least scary part of Disclosure. The scariest part of Disclosure is that we are going to like lose our religion, which they did talk about in this movie. They talked on that topic like heavy in this movie. So I thought that was interesting that because of course that would be like the biggest thing, is everybody has to question God then when aliens are exposed, because we didn't even think they existed. And so now it's like, not only have they existed, but our government's known about it for all this time, and they've also been like doing experiments and have advanced technology, and like that's the disclosure part that's really difficult. You know, because like they didn't really talk about that. Everybody was just kind of enamored with the fact that aliens exist alone. But you get into the deeper question of that, and it's like, okay, but our government knew about it. So what the fuck? Why didn't they tell us? Kind of a thing. And that's the question that's going to come forward with Disclosure. And it's like my channels basically have the answers to that. So that's how I know I'm like public relations Jesus, because like I have the answers that people are going to need when Disclosure Day occurs. So that's again why there's so many synchronicities with like Emily Blunt's character and myself. Like it was so crazy. It was so crazy. And also like she makes those noises with like her throat, and that's like kind of like light language. Like a bunch of people here have light language, you know? So there was like a lot of like, again, like synchronicities lined up with my channels, with what I talk about. And then again, she was like more, you know, like the Mary Magdalene character, you know, like that's the story that was taken from the Bible. They left her out completely. There is like even the book of Mary Magdalene, which I'm going to order now because I need to read that. I need to read the book of Thomas, and I need to read the book of Enoch, because those are all the books that were taken out, and they have all this basic information. I've been, you know, I don't know much about it, but I know like so that's going to be revealed, you know. And then Gnosticism also carried a lot of that stuff as well, you know, the woman's story, and that's why she was the one who had psychic abilities in the movie. You know, like the guy has psychic abilities too, and even that story is like a little distorted because the two are supposed to be together. You know, it's Jesus and Mary Magdalene, but he has a girlfriend in the movie, so like it's, you know, so like that's the only part that also wasn't accurate, I would say. It's like those two were supposed to be together. Maybe they'll make a sequel now, and they'll like do that after Disclosure happens. We'll make Steven Spielberg make a second one, and then like the two of them end up together and stuff, and they go on like an adventure or something. Like for real, that's like how this is gonna go now. So it was like really a lot. It was like really exciting for me to watch it. I was like, you know, I kind of was also like, oh my gosh, I think this is like real. So okay. You know, that's just what keeps happening to me. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, it was like so like, oh yeah, like, yep, this is what's happening. And, you know, and for me, again, like my role as well, like in this disclosure movement and things like that, you know, again, it's just not time yet. But, you know, and then we're all going to learn about God's divine timing, because I don't think anybody will also be able to predict the exact, I can tell you right now, I will not be able to predict the exact date or time as to when open contact will occur, things like that. The ship's coming down. I won't be able to do that. But I might be able to make I don't know. I just like feel like, you know, we kind of just have to sit it out and wait, but this is happening. And like they're seeding all of this into our like, so this is getting all into our brains and our nervous system. So that's, again, I was saying, like the more and more stuff we see, like the more and more we know we're getting closer and closer, and stuff just keeps happening, you know, like all this stuff just keeps happening, and so much more truths are being revealed. That's the other part of this. This is so deep. And we're just at the surface level with Epstein. It's so much deeper than that. They were manipulating us with time machines. Like, and we're in contact with aliens. So, and have advanced technology and have been lying. And that's the part of Disclosure that's so difficult, and why it's going to take so long. You know, it takes it slower because it's hard to accept. And I also know that's how I have truth, because, you know, I can just tell in this movie, like, where they don't have the full truth. So I'm like, well, how do I know that? Because I have the truth. So that's crazy for me. I'm like, this is